Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking to you about productivity hacks because let's face it, when you work for yourself, you work from home, you're probably going to end up procrastinating quite a lot. And most coaches, if you're anything like me or most of my clients, you've either got diagnosed or undiagnosed ADHD or at least some traits of that, which makes focus pretty difficult. Added to the fact that our phone's probably going off all the time, we're getting tons of emails, Instagram notifications, it can be really hard to sit and do your job. And because we're working for ourselves, no one's looking over our shoulder all the time, it can be the most obvious thing in the world where you start work in the morning, you instantly on your phone, and you can bleed out your tasks till you feel like you're working every single minute of the day, but not actually getting much done. And that can make you feel pretty crap, but it means you've got no downtime. So you end up feeling like you're working all the time, and then getting close to burnout, which in my instance, I've had burnout, had panic attacks before, where I was just so run down because I didn't have a very good productivity system. When I started getting more productive, had better boundaries within my business, guess what? I got more work done, fantastic, but I actually had more downtime, so I wasn't as fucked all the time. And that was the main thing. So when we look at productivity, it isn't just as simple as getting more work done, it's also getting more work done in the time allocation so that we have some free time. Because ultimately, we probably get the work done, but it probably takes all our time. Or maybe we're just doing the most important tasks and not spending any time on the stuff that actually grows the business, which is very, very important, as I'll come into later. So what I'm going to do is go through a list of productivity hacks, which you guys can go and implement straight away and improve the productivity straight away within your business. And these are the biggest movers I use and have used consistently to grow a multi-six-figure business and teach my clients to do the same. So the first one is stolen off Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi is the GOAT, as far as I'm concerned. And it is essentially a Pomodoro on steroids. What he does is a productivity sheet, so just a Google sheet, and you're going to allocate 15-minute blocks from first thing in the morning to, let's say, last thing at night. So I usually go 5 a.m. until about 8 p.m. I'm not working the entire time, but just bear with me here. And every 15 minutes, you're going to set a timer. One of these guys, you're going to set a timer, and you're going to write down after that 15 minutes what you did in that time. Now, a lot of people say, oh, if every 15 minutes I'm writing down the task, isn't that going to waste time? And I thought that, but it absolutely will not. What it will do is it will give you a very, very clear indication of where you are wasting time. If you've been spending 15 minutes scrolling Instagram, you've got to write that down. If you've been WhatsApp responding, do that, emails, whatever. And you will be surprised how much dead time you have across the course of the day. The time you thought you were super busy, you were doing something else, right? You were doing your laundry, you went out for a haircut, whatever. And this gives you that clear, instant feedback of where am I spending my time. And if you can be brutally aware of that, you're less likely to spend it on stuff which is not relevant and spend it more on relevant stuff. And since implementing this, and I've been using this for a little while now, my productivity has skyrocketed because I'm just not wasting time on shit. It's made all the difference. I found I was spending a stupid amount of time on Instagram, emails, even just kind of like scrolling Rightmove. I'd look at it and be like, what am I doing, man? And it just brought me back to reality. What do I need to do? What do I need to achieve? And then I got my work done in a more condensed time, more work done, and ultimately saved me a bunch of stress issues by letting tasks bleed out. The next productivity hack is Brick. So this is it's a blocking app for your phone. There are other apps like Opal. I prefer Brick because it's literally a tap in, tap out. Opal, I find I can just like bypass it way too easily. So essentially blocks me using Instagram or any app I don't want to use on my phone. So I can't just doom scroll, I can't just do crap. Now, yes, I can have my phone outside the room, but sometimes I go and get it and bring it back in. Can't be trusted. And I see the same with my client. If you can tap this via an RFID, tap it out, it works super well, just being able to not to use this. So ultimately, what we're doing is getting rid of distractions, which is a huge component of focus. If you get rid of distractions, you haven't got anything to distract you. So this is really, really good. Ideally, leave your phone in another room as well, but quite a lot of time I'll be doing like replies via voice note. My phone's there, and it becomes a problem if I can suddenly scroll on Instagram or another thing. Brick stops me doing that, so I strongly recommend. The other option we've got in terms of blocking out distractions is a Chrome extension called Cold Turkey. Now what this does, is essentially you put the website in, so Instagram on desktop, could be in your emails, could be in Rightmove, all those things, and it means you cannot no longer go into that thing. So it'll just come up blocked on the screen. And again, just removing that distraction, meaning I can't actually go on this thing. I can't get rid of my desktop, right? I need to go on Google Sheets. I need to go into things like Chronometer. There's certain things I need to go into in order to do my check-ins. I don't need to go into Rightmove. So it allows me just to push that thing away and means that I no longer have to go and deal with it. So again, removal of distractions, cold turkey is one I'd implement straight away. The next thing I'd use is an Eisenhower Matrix. So if you Google this, what it will show you is 4 boxes, and it's going to be essentially a combination of urgent, non-urgent, important, non-important. And the urgent, important stuff is the stuff we need to do straight away. Think check-ins, right? Stuff we need to do straight away, that's where we get paid. But most of the time we end up focusing on the urgent, non-important stuff. Emails, responding to WhatsApps that second, doing kind of urgent business tasks, urgent that we think we need to get back to, Instagram DMs. And listen, all these things matter. We see the time component and we think I need to do it straight away. However, that's not the thing that's going to grow your business. When we think about the non-urgent, important stuff, newsletters, building out lead magnets, creating a content structure, filming content, because it's not very fun straight away. That's the stuff that's going to easily be put to one side. And if we don't focus on it, it won't get done. By having an Eisenhower Matrix, it means we can just look at these things and say, that's where I need to spend my time, or at least allocate time across the course of the week to do those tasks. And of course, the urgent, non-important stuff, just get rid of it. You're wasting your time on that anyway. If it's not going to grow the business forward, it's not time urgent, don't waste your time doing it. But then Eisenhower Matrix will allow you, not necessarily in that moment, but if you plan ahead, the day, the week, the month, what are the tasks that I need to focus on, i.e. allocating which one falls into each box, and make sure there's time allocation across that time frame, you will find you can push the business on quite a lot. Now, I'm a huge fan of nootropics. That's probably the next thing I'll talk about. I've tried everything, modafinil, monsters, every form of nootropic I've tried. Ultimately, nothing's going to replace a good night's sleep, so that's the first thing we'd start. But I really, really like a couple of things. So one is Focus Max from Strom Sports, supplement sponsor for me. I'm not shilling for them because I used this way before I sponsored, and I will use this way after. If they ever stop working with me, there's no problem in my life where I wouldn't use them. So I strongly recommend these guys. So check them out. It's called Focus Max. Fantastic stim, lion's mane, phosphatidylserine, rhodolia rosea, obviously caffeine, works beautifully, no highs. So you get a nice high, no low, no crashes. And this is like check-in fuel for me. So I absolutely love it. Big fan of things like peptides, like Solank, Samax. Samax in particular drives up BDNF. So use this in stints, like 3 months on, a couple months off. Beautiful. And I find that if I can have one coffee, one Focus Max, and a couple of these other guys, I am set. But obviously, neurochemistry is something that is very individual. Give it a go, but Focus Max is one I always come back to. Then if we think about back to your kind of time management, time blocking. This is so simple, so basic, yet no one does it. Makes no sense to me. If we think about Parkinson's law, so Parkinson's law is the time taken to do a task expands or contracts to the time you have to do it. So if I said to you, you've got 5 hours to do check-ins, you'll take 5 hours. If you've had 3 hours, you take 3 hours, 8 hours, take 8 hours. The reason our time tasks always bleed is because we haven't said it needs to be done in this time. So if you go through your calendar and say, I've got this much time, maybe I'll do check-ins from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., I've got 6 hours. If you haven't done it in that time, that's on you, right? But if we know I've got 6 hours to do check-ins, that means I've got this much time per check-in, you can work backwards and fit these things in. But if you don't block it off, right, I've got this amount of time for check-ins, this for content creation, this for whatever the task is, it makes everything easy to bleed. But if you have these time allocations, it makes it easy to stick to it. So I have in my diary, I go to the gym at this time. I respond to WhatsApp at this time. I do my check-ins at this time. I create content at this time. I do podcasts. Whatever the thing is, put it in your diary, allocate a set amount of time to do the thing, and make sure you actually stick to it using the Pomodoro or steroids that we talked about earlier, and life becomes much more productive. And one of the other things I like to do in terms of productivity for just like note taking and things like that is Notion. So there's loads of note taking tools. You can use Notes on Mac. I like Notion because you can put it all in one place. You can mind map a lot of stuff. And personally, it's got an AI tool which I use, which is absolutely phenomenal in terms of just putting all your ideas in a single location with different sub-formats, and it makes it easy. Okay, I've got a tab for content creation, I've got a tab for business, I've got a tab for whatever the thing may be, and you can just have a central hub, almost like a second brain for yourself. So using whatever the thing is for you. But the reason I like Notion is because you can see it as a sideboard, click all the bits through, it's all in one place. Speaking of AI, I certainly wouldn't ever want to use it for like content creation, but for ideation is superb. So using things like Claude, ChatGPT for your ideation, coming up with content ideas is a phenomenal idea. But making sure you don't rely on it to actually create the content. It is shit for that. But as a productivity hack, where you can put in kind of your avatar, put in your pain points, problems, talk about the sort of content where you want it to fall within the funnel, top, middle, bottom of funnel, where you're kind of struggling, it will come up with these ideas. Now, obviously, you're going to have to go and refine that. But from an ideation standpoint, it's very, very good for that initial idea, shit at creation, but that's where your job comes in. Now, the next one as a hack sounds super obvious, but one that I don't see many people do, stick to one task at a time. We all know people, especially men, are terrible at multitasking, but for some reason we think we can jump between tasks with good skill. We can't, okay? So if you're doing check-ins, don't try and every single check-in try and do an Instagram response or WhatsApp response. Block them off. I'm going to do an hour of check-ins, then I'll do half an hour of WhatsApp responses, and back and forward. Because otherwise you're going to end up getting torn between two tasks and not doing either particularly well. So pick one task at a time, stick to that, and then give yourself a time allocation to the other thing. And this works incredibly well, as you can probably guess, with time blocking. So putting them both together is a huge hack. One of the things we can save from time is just put do not disturb on. Do yourself a favor, block all your notifications, put do not disturb on. And if you're worried about missing a call from a loved one or someone important, you can put them as a favorite, bring that through from WhatsApp or bring it through as a phone call without a problem. But anytime you're giving something else permission to go and contact you, whether you're choosing the interaction, it's going to distract you. It always has to. So if you want to increase your productivity, get rid of the distractions as soon as possible. And do not disturb is an absolute life hack for that. I have it on all the time. And like I say, if there's someone that you're worried about, like family, friends, your partner, that you need to give them the opportunity to speak to you, put them as a favorite, make sure that it always lets them through. That's absolutely fine. But for most people, they do not need 24/7 access to you, uninhibited, so do not disturb is going to work. Next one is the ability to say no. You don't have to say yes when people ask you to do stuff. So during the day, people might say, oh man, come for a coffee. You can meet me, you're working at home. Oh, let's go to the gym during the day. If you're trying to grow your business, trying to be more productive, just say no. It's the biggest time hack you will ever find. You might sound boring, but that's when you schedule in evenings, weekends. If you're serious about growing your business, and if you guys are listening to this, I'm sure that you are, just say no to things. If you want to say yes, and just understand there comes a cost with that. If you're saying yes to all these things, productivity is probably going to go down a little bit. I understand maybe at the start of your career, you feel like you might want to do some more networking, do those kind of things. I get it. But at a point, there will be a cost to pay for those things. I will say no to pretty much 99% of the things that people ask me to do if it's around that working day, just because I've got stuff to do. If I say yes to that, it means I'm saying no to doing work or no to doing something that's going to drive my business forward. That is a conscious choice that I make. So most of the time, the answer is going to unfortunately be, no, I'm not going to do it. And it will be a huge productivity hack that you get. The next hack we've got is environmental design. So as I've mentioned probably like 20 times on this, I sound like a broken record, your productivity is going to increase as you remove distractions. And if you've got a workspace and it's covered with like widgets, little gimmicks, it's got food wrappers, it's all a distraction. Make sure that your workstation is as limited with any distractions as possible. My workstation, I've got 2 lights, I've got a webcam, I've got a monitor, I've got my mouse keyboard set up, I've got a cute picture of my girlfriend, and that is it. And I was sort of my timer, I lied, my timer. I've had no distractions apart from that. Everything is to allow me to be as productive as humanly possible, because I get distracted super easily. So I need to remove all those distractions. So having it like a clean workstation, there's nothing there, is a huge one. And now sometimes if I'm doing kind of lower value tasks, the cats will come in and sit with me. Otherwise they are locked out of the room because they will distract me. So your environment plays a huge component to you doing work. And let's just think about the other way. Go to a coffee shop and try and be super productive. It's very, very difficult because there's stuff going on. You'll end up people watching, you're looking at other things going on. Not the most helpful in terms of being productive. And the one I'm going to leave to last in this instance is your morning routine. Now, I'm a big fan of morning routines. However, when it comes to productivity, I think these things can go a little bit too far. So I've already mentioned it once. The best morning routine is a good night's sleep, right? If you can get a good 8-9 hours sleep, you're well rested, you're mentally fresh, that will make so much more difference than trying to get this optimized morning routine, okay? And I've seen people take like 3 or 4 hours to go through some elongated, long drawn out morning routine. And all that does to me, when I think about that, is it means I'm 4 hours delayed from getting to work. I think having some form of structure which allows you to get to work in a good mental state. So for me, I'll either train or do some cardio in the morning for the most part, unless it's the Monday, which is my busiest work day. So I won't train on my busiest work day. I will feed the cats, have a coffee, I will write my tasks for the day, I will journal and meditate for about 5 minutes, which all sounds elongated, but that with a shower as well. I'm at my desk working within 45 minutes, I'm ready to go. All those tasks allow me to be more fresh and ready to work. Even the gym, like even if I go to the gym, it means I don't have to think about going to the gym later. But the longest that take, including gym, is like 2 hours. That includes the drive back and forward. I'm not wasting hours and hours and hours getting ready to work, because ultimately that's time that you could be spent working. And I'd much rather be spending those additional 2 hours in that example working than with some stupid drawn out morning routine. If it works for you, fantastic. If we're talking about pure productivity, I've never seen anyone with a 4-hour morning routine be more productive. Right? It always takes away from their productivity. Happiness, we're not talking about here, but we're talking about pure productivity. It's a no-brainer to me. So this is not an exhaustive list. These are things that work for me. And ultimately, I'm a very high ROI guy. I will only do something if it's got a good return on investment. So everything I do, this works, I know. So we've got the Pomodoros on steroids. I should have a better name for them, but these are amazing. Brick, cold turkey, environmental design to be able to remove your distractions. Eisenhower Matrix, so you know where to spend your time, and then you can time block things much more effectively. We can use AI tools for minimizing time spent doing low value tasks like ideation. Let's say low value, that's really unfair. It's a high value task, but one that we can easily get lost in the woods with. If we minimize the time spent doing that task, we can spend it doing the more high value creation of the content. And ultimately, just trying to find the best thing for us. Say, I'm not the world's greatest expert. I really struggle to stay focused, but these are things that works for me and I hope will work for you as well. So I'll catch you guys in the next video or in the next podcast if you're hearing this in your ears. Hope you took a lot of tactical value from this that you can go and implement straight away. And if there's any hacks that I've not mentioned that you guys love, please mention in the comments or drop me a DM on Instagram. So I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you very much.